you doing, guys? I'm never going to get over that intro. It's honestly, it's going to be my running music. It's going to be my running music. It gets you going. It gets you going. Right, I just saw Waitman dancing in the corner. Yeah. We're going to get on with it anyway, guys. We're here. Big match preview. We're straight back into it. Wolverhampton Wanderers away from home at Molineux. And we're joined by Gaz from Talking Shutt. How are things, mate?
Yeah, good, Oscar, mate. Thanks for inviting me back on again. Joe and KG, good evening. Hope you're well.
Yeah, you're looking flashy in that new shirt, Gaz.
I know. Looks
all right, mate.
Looks
looking crisp. The lighting is making it look crisp, man. It looks nice.
Yeah, all of £12.50 from B&M's gone into this lighting, you know. £12.50.
Nice.
It's like the middle of summer where you are.
Nice,
in Barbados. KG, how's things, mate? KG, how are you doing?
Yeah, man, all good. Is my friend Gail here?
Who, Gail Dale? Gail Dale's always in the comments.
Yeah,
because you started the Pablo slander, mate. You ended the video with the Pablo slander. Never good, mate. But before we get into it, let's remind ourselves of our fantastic sponsors. We're going to give them a quick shout out. Football Prizes. If you haven't done already, make sure you check them out. Even if you're a Wolves fan watching this or a non-Leeds fan watching this, plenty of stuff to check out. But we're just going to promote a couple of things relating to Leeds. We've got our man KP, signed and framed Leeds United boot. The top man, he's going to lead England to glory at the Euros. We know it's coming. He's leading us to our Champions League charge this season as well. KP, $4.95. That's all the ticket costs on this one. 99 tickets available. The competition ends this Monday at 7:30. So get on it, guys. Get on it quickly. 99 tickets and counting available, guys. Get on it as quick as you can. And also available 24 hours to go on this one. Closes, literally 7:30 tomorrow. Leeds United 70s and 90s, signed and framed road sign montage. The 70s and 90s, the glory days, which hopefully are coming back right now. But make sure you get on this, guys. We've got Eddie Gray, Tony DeRigo, Johnny Giles, David Harvey, so many legends, Steve Hodge, Gary Mack, John Lukic, Mel Sterling, Wilco and Chrissy White, all on this one, guys. So make sure you get on it. Check out Football Prizes. Don't check them out just yet. Check them out as soon as this video ends. Make sure you get on it, guys. Plenty of quality prizes available. Guys, we're going to have to start this one on a really, really sad note. I think it's touched all of us Leeds United fans. Sadly, Calvin Phillips' grandma Val, sadly passed this afternoon. Devastating news. We're going to go to you first, Gaz, because obviously you had Grandma Val on Talking Shutt. I mean, it's awful. It's awful, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's just been year on year. It's just been, sort of terrible for us as a fan base, really, with so many legends passing away. Obviously, I'd class Granny Val in there, to be really honest. I mean, we got her on Talking Shutt via one of her nephews, who is a mutual friend of Ben, and I've kind of got to know him a little bit over time. And yeah, she was a lovely woman. She had loads of time for us. She was a real character, and you can tell that she was sort of like the matriarch, the head of the family kind of thing. And it's so desperately sad that obviously she's passed away. And all I can say is that send me love and the lads from Talking Shutt to Calvin and his family, and I know to Calvin's mum Lindsay. Yeah, it's really sad, and I think Wayman mentioned it before we came on that it just reinforces what a fantastic club we've got. The fan base and the club have reacted in the way they have to somebody who's been really influential in Calvin's life amongst many other people. So do you know what? Really really sad, and just I just wish them all the best.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just remember on the documentary, it was amazing character, to be fair. Amazing character. You could tell how much Calvin looked up to her, couldn't you, from the documentary and the way he spoke about her. I mean, it really came across, didn't it, to be fair, KG?
Yeah. And it was quite apparent as well. She was a big reason why he stayed around as well. You can tell that family's a big thing for him. And yeah, man, it's sad to have, because it as it said in the Facebook post, it seemed pretty sudden too. So, just thoughts and condolences to Calvin and his family. Yeah.
No, 100%. 100%.
I think just like what what Gaz touched on as we were talking off air. There's not many clubs that would react in the way that Leeds United fan base and Leeds United, the club, have, you know. And like KG said, I think she was pivotal in Calvin staying. So we owe her a debt just for that, you know. There was news that he could have gone in the summer and he had that conversation, you know, with Granny Val, right? And yeah, it is really, really sad. And I hope, listen, I don't even need to hope. I know it'll happen. Like the lads will go out and put a performance, and I wouldn't put it past if a goal's scored that some sort of, you know, someone does something, holds a shirt up, lifts their shirt up, something like that, you know, with a nod to Granny Val, because like it's already been said, massive in Calvin's life, and massive in the Leeds fan universe as well, you know, through the documentary and stuff. So really sad, and yeah, like the lads have said, condolences to Calvin, and you know, when he comes back, he'll have our full support. You know, if he needs time off, he needs time off. It is what it is. But you'll probably want to just get back on the pitch, maybe, you know, and yeah, I reckon so anyway.
Yeah. Obviously, Calvin's actually already carried an injury, so it will be, obviously, we'll have to wait and see on that, to be fair. But I think what really came across on the documentary, and from speaking to people like obviously Leaf, Adam Forshaw, you know, back in the summer and that lot, and they kind of said that everyone knows each other's family, kind of thing. It is like that kind of close. It's like just one big family. Everyone knows like everyone's mum, dad, nan, granddad, girlfriend, etc., etc. It's so, everyone's just so kind of close together. So I think it'll hit the whole team, to be fair. And you would love to see a dedication of some sort. If someone does score tomorrow, it would be fantastic to see. I'm sure we will. To be fair. But yeah, obviously, you know, looking into the game, there has been a little bit of news going into this one. Obviously, we'll start with people who could be coming back in potentially. Obviously, Diego Llorente probably isn't going to start this game, but by the sounds of things, good chance he's going to be on the bench. I mean, if one thing is for sure there, Gaz, I mean, at least it does kind of give us some kind of senior option on the bench. You have to look at what the bench was against Arsenal, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, Diego's had an absolute nightmare run of injuries, hasn't he? He's since pocketing Ronaldo for Spain, he's really struggled. So I think it's important that we manage him carefully. And you know something, when we've had Strike there, and whoever's played at side of him, whether it's been Cooper or Ayling, he's been sound there. Obviously, we know Calvin, it kind of removes that opportunity in playing there, but. Yeah, good to have a senior face back on the bench. I do think he'll start on the bench. I think Bielsa sort of nodded to it in his press conference that he needs to manage through a little bit. You know what, the kid will want to prove a point, won't he? Because he's really struggled to sort of get any game time and stuff. So you know he'll be keen to play. But I think the club will manage him in the right way. And you know, I don't think we're desperate at centre half. To be honest, I think the Calvin role is the issue, which we all know about anyway. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but it'd be good to see him back on the bench. Sure.
I was a bit disappointed, to be honest, KG, that obviously I haven't seen Rodrigo in training. I think it was right in the Gary Kelly's who tweeted it out first, to be fair. I was thinking, oh, that's good. That's a good sign. Monday morning, he's back in training. Game on Friday, he should be back in time. But looks like he's not going to be back on this one, Rodrigo. I mean, is that a possibility we might see Tyler keep that place that he sort of got in the second half against Arsenal? Do you think that's a possibility? I mean, I know how big a Tyler fan you are, to be fair, KG. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I was thinking, man, it's a shame that John isn't here today, because after he said about Stroit being all right in the defensive midfield position, everyone. Were you going to go for him, KG? Were you going to go for him? No. Listen, we can all have our opinions, right? Yeah, but we saw again. I think it's been done to death. You know, we don't need to make 4 changes for the sake of 1. You know, if we'd started the game with Shackleton in midfield, who knows where that game versus Arsenal would have gone, instead of all the juggling around. But yeah, Tyler Roberts. Yeah, I'd move Shackleton forward and put Ayling back at right back, and you know, put either Dallas or Click in the defensive midfield or the deep line midfield role, rather than have, you know, Shackleton at right back. It didn't work, and we've seen before it doesn't work. So instead of doing all that and then having to make every single change we've got by the 60th minute, let's just start with 1 change and then go from there. because especially against Wolves as well. Wolves have got a couple of threats, but we should, if we impose our game on them, we should be more than fine against Wolverhampton Wanderers.
I think so. I think obviously no Calvin is the big blow in that kind of sense. Someone. That's okay. I'm sorry. I'm getting a bit of feedback.
I can hear yourself, right? I can hear it in someone's laptop. Is everyone plugged in?
Yeah.
Let's test it again. Ah, this is horrible. It's horrible.
I can hear you back. I can hear myself back as well. So, Cage, can you mute a sec?
Let me test it.
Try it now.
Is that better? Oh, it's cagey. It's cagey.
Go ahead.
Feedback.
It was an echo.
Feedback. I was thinking, what's that? But obviously, Calvin's the big blow, as Cagey was saying. And I mean, we did debate Joe on Monday, and Duncan, to be fair, made a cracking point. What Stewie D? Played Stewie D in the Calvin role. It's an interesting option. It probably is going to happen, but what would you think to that if that did theoretically happen tomorrow?
See, for me, I'm still of the thinking that Strauch's got in there. I don't think anything's going to change. I don't. And who is the perfect replacement for KP? There isn't a perfect replacement, but I think Strauch's the replacement. I know people will disagree, but I just think he still goes with that. I may be wrong. Maybe the reason that he didn't go with Dallas there or click there was due to the injury to Rodrigo. Maybe he's seen enough from Tyler now that he'd be happy to start Tyler in midfield with Click and then Dallas, or either Click or Dallas in the DM. But for me, I still think he goes with Strauch. I do. I think the only one for me that's up for contention is Huggins over Shackleton. You know, I think you could look at that because I thought Huggins did great when he came on, and I thought, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him getting a bit more game time. Just my own opinion, I think, for me, on reflection, because let's not forget, and someone made this point, it might have been Duncan on Monday with the fans post-match, it was Pat from Barbados. Strauch still played in that second half when we were better and more dominant. So you have to factor that in as well. Whether or not that's due to the fact that because a lot of people say, what do you think changed? And look, Arsenal were 4-0 up after 50 minutes, so they can afford to take the foot off, and Arteta just brought on defensive substitutions, so naturally there isn't that much going forward as they were in that first half. That's a good shout from Gamer Guy Ethan, but I think it'd be negligible.
Big ask, isn't it?
I think it'd be negligible of Bielsa to throw him straight back in after we've seen him get injured straight away. I think it would be. He's not played any under-23s. For him to throw him in a DM, and if he gets injured in 45 minutes, then I'm sorry, that's possibly on the management for me, because you can't be rushing him back, because clearly he's not for rushing back, because he's just getting he's getting injured too easy, and so he needs to be blooded in a little bit. But we'll have to wait and see. But I think it's the exact same lineup, mate, and a lot of people will disagree and be disappointed with that. But I just don't see him making changes. But we'll have to wait and see. Would I? Probably not. And I know a lot of people disagree with this as well, but I just see Strauch as being the closest to what Calvin gave us. But we've said it and done it to a death. Like, the numbers don't lie. I think it's quite telling, and we've touched on it. The 4 games that we've lost when Calvin in the Premier League, when Calvin hasn't been in, we've conceded 4 against Palace, 4 against Leicester, 4 against Arsenal, and only 1 against Brighton. But we were shocking in that game. And if Brighton could find the net, they probably could have scored more. They don't score many themselves. And I think it's quite funny that the one game we did win, Strauch was only on the pitch for 20 odd minutes because he was subbed due to a yellow card, and then we win the game 3-0. So you could arguably say that he is the issue, I guess. You know what I mean? Which I don't like to label at one player, but I just don't think he changes it. I don't know what the others think.
I think. Go on, guys.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with him, and I don't think he changes it, to be honest. I think yeah, I think we can all agree that it don't work with Strike. It definitely doesn't work. But in Marcelo obviously sees something that we don't. So in that case, I'm with Wayman. I can't really see a change if I'm honest. I think the lineup will be the same tomorrow night as it was the start of Arsenal.
I mean, Lucy made a really good point on Tuesday, I thought, in terms of Strauch has to have the game. He likes the game in front of him. I think that was a cracking point, to be fair. I think when you're playing holding midfield, you got to worry about what's behind you, when you got to move ahead of the ball, etc., etc. And yeah, it was a tough game for Strauch. He just doesn't. I think you can even go back to that Crawley game. To be honest, that Crawley game we lost 3-0. Strauch played sort of the first half in that position, never really looked comfortable. It was a tough game for him, to be fair. It was a really tough game for him. But I think the other thing is, KG, obviously we've got to talk about Robin Koch. Robin Koch is back available, which is great news for us.
Is he available now?
Looking close. Sorry, I was getting a bit distracted there.
What's happening out there? His dad's coming in and out, and that he's like,
it's like when you're trying to bat. You're trying to play cricket. You got someone running across your wicket like that. Oh man! Right, Robin Koch isn't back available. That was complete nonsense. Sorry about that. Robin Koch has tweeted us a bit of an update saying he's getting close, bit of a picture in the gym. So hopefully, when Robin Koch comes back available, he's also an option in CDM. If Calvin is ever out, that's got to be a massive boost defensively, Casey, surely.
Yeah, no, he's the next option that we've currently got. He would be the one to play there. So as soon as he's fit, he goes into that spot if Calvin Phillips isn't ready. Robin Koch is doing updates. I think there's a few injured players out that's doing that. There's Virgil van Dijk at Liverpool. He keeps doing that. We don't know how close he is to returning. But it's good to see him, back in that, just like Rodrigo as well. Good to see him back. We need all the bodies we can get. As you could see when against Arsenal, we're bringing on Huggins. And, I know people are saying that he played great. He didn't play great. He did an adequate job at this level. He didn't make a mistake, which is all you can ask for. But again, back to Gayle and a lot of other people, it goes back to what I'm saying. He doesn't want to play Hernandez. And if you're looking to get back into a game, you would have thought Hernandez would have been a good punt to play in the second half against Arsenal. So maybe that relationship just over between those two, unfortunately. But yeah, Robin Koch for me, he's just so key for us when we get back into having a full complement of defenders, both centre back and defensive midfield. His passing range, his tackling, interceptions. We just miss him. We can do with him back as soon as possible.
I love the fact we're like 19 minutes in. You already called out two people already, KG, Gayle and John.
No.
Pablo's getting called out.
The only reason why I say Gayle is because I remember it was like she was arguing back and forth with me, like saying I hate him, and I really don't hate Pablo, but you just have to move on, and you can see Bielsa's already doing that.
I think it's brutal, though, me. I do. I'm not sure I agree with it. I'm not a fan of it. I think for him to be sat on that bench and see Helder Costa come on, who's been woeful, and a lot of people say, oh, he did all right. Listen, he gave away the fourth goal. That's fact for me. And every time he comes on, he loses it before he does anything worthwhile. That's just my opinion. I won't be sold on Costa for a while yet. Obviously, it might change my opinion, but for him to see Costa coming on, Tyler, who was linked to moving out. Now, I'm not having a go. Listen, Tyler has changed my opinion based on these substitute appearances. These things happen. I'm not saying one and done, you know what I mean? But I just think for Costa at the minute, Wolves have had our pants down, to be honest. But for him to see Costa, Tyler, and then Huggins make his debut, 4-0 down away at Arsenal, and he's not even getting the nod. I think it's what we said last week, didn't we, when Giovanni Gemini, the guy on Twitter, had put the subtitles to that post, and how Bielsa had said when someone is showing petulance when they get substituted, they're not only showing it to me, they're showing it to the player that they're coming off for, saying he's not good enough. If their then response is, oh no, it's because I didn't want to come off, he's then insinuating that someone else on the pitch should come off instead of him because he thinks he's better. And this is how Bielsa broke it all down. And I'm thinking, if he's gone to that length, that's why he's not getting game time. But if that was the case, they should have let him go in January. They should have let him go. I think it's unfair for him, me personally, to be sat on the bench and not getting game time, especially in games like that. I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me, but I get sentiment has to be taken out of it. But, you know, had he have not been petulant, he'd be using him for me. He would be using him, I think. It's not that he's not good enough. But you might disagree, but I think he still will be using him in some capacity, you know, to try and affect games. Against Arsenal, he's bringing him on for me, as opposed to Costa, Roberts, and then Huggins. I don't know, you're bringing on Huggins when you're chasing the game because he's still going for the game at that point. You know, Huggins, he came on at right back, but then I seen him in midfield. It's like him and Shackleton were just doing switchy.
Yeah.
You know? So, I don't know. It's a bit of a strange one for me. It's not nice, man. You don't want it to end that way, do you? I think that's my thing.
But it's a sad ending, isn't it? If it does end that way, I still think Pablo will have another moment of magic before he plays his final game. And I'm hoping, because look, we're probably not going to get into the grounds before the end of the season. I'm kind of hoping maybe pre-season, when the fans possibly might be back in grounds, or some fans might be back in grounds by July, August. Talking about maybe we can do something for Pablo then.
I think he's on that plane to Spain. I think he's on that plane to Spain as soon as the window's open. Why is he going to sit about? Why?
Yeah,
he's not going to. You're breaking
me out.
No, but if I'm Pablo Hernandez, he's going to be feeling sick, man. He'll be thinking to himself, let's be honest, ego and everything comes into it. And rightly so for him, he'll be like, I dragged this team up and I'm being treated like this. I'm just saying how I would feel at the time. And there's no way I'm waiting about. I'm straight on that plane to Spain, to the club that I part own, and getting my feet under the table. And I don't blame him. I'm sorry.
You know the game where Pablo provided 2 assists? Was that after the whole getting subbed off and throwing a tantrum?
Yeah, it was about a month after.
No, it was. Okay. Good point.
Yeah. So he has used him afterwards then. So I don't know what it is. Maybe he doesn't feel he's going to be up to speed. You can only imagine. He wasn't the quickest anyway. Nothing to do with speed in that terms. But we've seen it so many times. The game was passing him by in the Premier League. So many games. He just wasn't doing much. So maybe he's looking at that too. And maybe he's got an eye on Costa, Roberts, even these two. I mean, just saying these names will show you just how much we've got to strengthen our bench, by the way. But maybe he's looking at it as in the future. These guys are going to be with me next season. Let me see what these have got the rest of the way, so I can assess them in the summer. It could be something like that.
I'm selling Costa, mate. I'm selling Costa.
He's got to hook his ideas up, no doubt about it. He's got to do. I mean, and even the Arsenal game, I thought he did show some good signs after he scored, but he's still got to do at least that pretty much every single time he comes on. Not score every single time he comes on, but have some kind of impact on the game for me. Not doing what he was doing against West Ham, etc., etc. But I mean, Gaz, are you surprised by how Pablo? How first game of the season he started at Anfield. I'm not going to say he played well at Anfield because he did come off quite early on, but I'm amazed it's what's happened to Pablo this season's happened. I didn't think he'd do what he did in the Championship, score every single week, absolute 30-yarders kind of thing. But I thought he'd do a lot better. I thought he'd have a lot more influence than what he has done so far. Are you surprised at all?
I think if you have a head and heart type thing, I think in my heart, I expected Pablo to come up and do what he did in the Championship. But then in my head, I look at it and think, he's a 36-year-old guy who's coming up to a newly promoted team, and he's expected to be the difference against world-class stars. And we did rely on him a lot in the Championship. And, right at the very early start of the season when we were playing, when we still got Rodrigo getting bedded in and Rafinha getting bedded in, sort of our more explosive players, it's a big ask of him at that age, I think. And I'm a little bit, and it pains me to say it, I'm starting literally half a foot away from a Pablo print on my wall of that goal at Swansea. But do you know what? Like, I know we talked about it a minute ago with Joe, sentiment, it can't have a place for us, unfortunately. Like, some of these players that we've got at the moment will be forever remembered as the team that got us promoted. But sadly, that might be their peak. You know what I mean? Sadly, some players might have to move on, and we might have to strengthen them areas. And you know, Pablo for me will go down as a league legend. You know, some of the players that last year will go down as being part of that team, but Pablo will go down as a league legend. We was for a long period of time, and he dragged us out of the championship almost single-handedly at times last time. But hand on heart, can we say that he come into a game other than the Newcastle game where he got 2 assists? But to be honest, Newcastle, you know, again, you could look at that. Has he really come on and set the Premier League alight? And my personal feeling is no. And after we talked about this briefly on our show last night, and I got a message off a guy at like 2:30 in the morning, so I apologise. I can't remember his name at the moment. And he was like, have we ever thought Pablo might be homesick? Because I think his wife took his kid back over to Castellon. And, you know, maybe that's playing a part in it. At the end of the day, these players are human, you know, and you know, and they have real world things going off as well, like missing the family and being stuck in COVID, which it's horrendous, isn't it? I mean, we're all living through it as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm along with KG. I think the reason he's not playing is that probably his future is probably at Castellon. The more than likely get relegated by what Binky's told us. He's our Spanish correspondent.
We've got one in Oscar.
You've got an Oscar, yeah. And do you know what? It'll be really sad, but he'll go down as a Leeds United legend. He'll be forever loved by the fans, and yet it's not the way that any of us wanted it to end. We'd have loved him to play one season in the Premier League, light it up, get fans to see him playing in the Premier League, you know, and then sort of not golden handshake, but you know, big round of applause, and off he goes to finish his career in Castellon. But you know what? Football's a funny old game. It doesn't go the way we want it to go sometimes, and you know, he'll not be the first, and he'll certainly not be the last that'll move on. But the club's moving forward, and you know, it's as weird as it sounds. It's a good discussion to be having that we're going to end up losing players like Pablo Hernandez because we're going to go to the next level. And that's not to say that Pablo isn't at that level. He's just at the wrong time of his career. You know, if we got Pablo maybe 10 years ago, then you know maybe he's in it for the ride, but he's not, and just got to thank him for getting us where we've got him to. And I'm certainly not giving up on him. If Bielsa's keeping him around and he's going to keep putting him in, then that's up to him. But all the signs at the moment look like Pablo's going to be making his way sort of out of the club at the end of the year, and rightly so. If you take sentiment away that Marcelo's working with what's going to be here next year, painfully.
Well, I've got something to add to the to-do list now. DM Binky about Spanish football podcast. I'm only messing.
Don't lie.
I mean, Pablo is probably now, I think, guys, you're spot on. I think Pablo's probably, right now, is probably in one of the worst moments of his career because he knows he's not going to be staying beyond this year. He knows he's going. His family's in Spain. COVID's, you know, not allowing fans to be in the grounds. He's not playing. He's seen players play ahead of him who've not even done a quarter for this club of what Pablo's done. And you've got to look at it from that side. That's why I find it really hard to be too critical of Pablo. And I would still, if we do get to a stage of the season where we I mean, this might sound crazy, but where we're kind of just mid-table, pure mid-table, there's no chance of finishing top 7, there's no chance of going down. Last 5 or 6 games, I just play Pablo.
He's not doing that though, is he?
I know. For me, just
like that, we get to 40 points. He's like, "Go on, Pablo, have a good time." But it's not happening, man. I get it, but it's not happening, is it?
Maybe not 5 or 6 games, but at least 1 or 2 towards the end.
As much as it's going to kill us, it's just not going to happen. It's not Bielsa's way.
No.
You know, Pablo in his head won't want to be a bit part player, you know, and so he wants to go to Castellon where he'll be back to being a big fish in a small pond at Castellon, not disrespecting them. And yeah, you know, it's sad, but you know, this is the evolution of the team. This is the getting better. You know, this is the improvement. This is us pushing on to the next level after we've survived in the Premier League for 1 year. And you know what? Over a period of time, as much as it's painful, it'll not be one of them sort of new age legends that's going to leave us. You know, you start looking at, you know, potentially your Liam Coopers, your Luke Aylins, you know, your Stuart Dallases, because let's be honest, they're at the end of the career where, you know, 2, maybe 3 years time, it might be time for them to move on, and we'll be having the same discussion there. And yeah, it's sad, you know. Pablo's done great things, and I'm not for 1 minute, you know, trying to downgrade the things he's done at the club and the things he's still capable of doing. But football's about levels, and currently the Premier League looks just slightly above Pablo's level, and at his age, can he step up to that level? And I'm not too sure. I hope he comes on tomorrow against Wolves and goes 25, to be honest.
And also as well, it's all well and good that 5 and 6, but every Premier League place is a couple of million. The club aren't looking at it the way that fans are looking at it, like just give him 5 games. They're looking at it as, if we finish 10th, great, but if we finish 9th, even better. You know, it's not the same as the Championship where you can just finish wherever and get pittance. There's big money involved, and they'll be looking at that. And as well, prospective players who we bring in as well. So we have to look after the club first, man. I know, again, people are going to say I'm Vince McMahon and everything, but that's just the way it has to be. It's just the way it has to be.
Well, I get it. It's right. Yeah, you're right. And we as fans should look at it like that as well, really, because we've got to think about the summer. We've got to think about the summer and the players, and if there's a couple of extra few million there to help us get another, you know, elite level player like we did with the likes of Rafinha, you know, then so be it, man. So be it.
Yeah.
Fuck Pablo.
But the thing is,
I'm only joking. Don't click that, man.
Do you get the feeling Rodrigo de Paul is getting lined up as the Pablo replacement? It feels like ever since that little rumour about de Paul being like, again, a done deal in the summer, the stuff about Pablo's kind of come out like a week later. It just seems a bit. I might be just putting two and two together and getting 5 there, but
that's a good thing. Your face there. Talk to us, guys.
Don't think, guys.
Talk to us.
Again, I'll just prefix with I know nothing before I get but, do you know what? Like listening to Phil A and people who genuinely are in the know, I'm not sure. You know, I think Rodrigo would love to come to Leeds. I think the fans would love him to come to Leeds, especially the female element of the fan base, because he's a dime piece, isn't he? But
he is.
You know what? I'm not sure if there's a real urge there from the club. I don't know. I blow hot and cold on this. Don't get me wrong. I personally, as a casual fan, would love Rodrigo de Paul in our team. If you watch him, I think he fits what we kind of need. He's an Argentinian international, so you know he's got pedigree. But again, you know, as Victor has proven, none of us had heard of Rafinha, and he's come in and he looks like an absolute world beater. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Rodrigo de Paul flirting continues for a long period of time still, and we go and sign somebody else from the Bulgarian Premier League or something ridiculous like that, and go and set the world on fire. I just don't know.
Because his price tag, the way he's playing in Italy, I think he's got the most assists, so far this season in Italy. His price tag, he's adding 10 million every week he plays. I mean, that's the thing. That's why it's...
He's like 3rd or 4th to Luke Ayling in most progressive runs as well with the ball, which is crazy to think Luke Ayling's topping the European chart.
I don't want him.
Yeah.
Playing
he can't even keep up with Luke, man, so he can't be that good.
I think the other thing is, as well, is, you know, we're not going to be the only club. You've just mentioned all them incredible statistics. You know, he might end up with a Champions League club offering him, in game time and Champions. You know, like maybe an Atletico Madrid, something like that. You know,
there's still time yet. We've still got a couple of games yet.
Yeah, Joe, I'm still not on that bandwagon, mate. I'll be honest, but you know what? Yeah, it'll be. Listen, again, it's a great thing to have this, isn't it? It's a great worry to have. Are we not going to sign an Argentinian international? You know, it's much better than talking about are we going to sign a left back on loan from Carlisle or something that we had many a couple of years ago. So you know what, it's a good thing to have. Rodrigo de Paul, I trust the club to address the situation and get the right player in. So
yeah.
But guys, keep smashing that like button, guys. Up to 261 watching us live. Let's get to 300 before we're out tonight. But obviously, I think we spoke to 2 really knowledgeable Wolves fans yesterday, me and Joe, and one of the things they had identified against this Leeds team, KG, was their wingers, which will probably be Traore starting on the right and Pedro Neto starting on the left, up against our full-backs, which will probably be Shackleton or Huggins and John LUFC at left-back. They identified that as where they could really hurt us, and to be fair, I was don't want to disagree. I was kind of thinking,
you're like,
I can't really disagree with that too much, to be fair. Having seen what Bukayo Saka did to Alioski for 52 minutes on Sunday, I can't disagree too much with that, as horrible as it is to admit.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to disagree with any of that. Our weak link right now one of them, anyways, Alioski. You know, I didn't get on him last show, so no one can say anything. But he is, and he's proven it. More games than not, he's proven that he's a weak link in the team. He just hasn't got the headspace to play in the Premier League. He's not smart enough. You have to be smart to play in the Premier League. When you haven't got a lot of pace, if you haven't got a lot of end product, you need smarts, and he doesn't have it. And also, as well, in that game, I didn't listen to any shows this week because I knew who was going to be the culprits that get called out. But Liam Cooper's got to stop passing it back to Meslier every time he gets the ball. You know, their second goal where they got the penalty and Meslier did the foul, it didn't need to happen. If Cooper just looks around and plays a pass to the side, you know, forward, just hope or something, you know, play a long one, a diagonal, do something different. Just stop passing it back to Meslier, because Melier's got a lot of strengths, but distribution isn't one of them right now. And they need to just ease the pressure on the kid a little bit. But Alioski, yeah, what is it? Traore up against him. Traore's not even having the best of seasons either. But as we've shown with our team, you don't have to have your best season or be the best player. You're going to get space and stuff against some of these players, and you can prove your best, and you can have one of your best games. So Traore will be good. Yeah, Neto on the other side. I would much prefer Ayling to be over there. I think we'd have more of a chance with that than Shackleton or Huggins, because Neto is going to be up there. There's going to be a lot of clubs looking at that kid because he's a very, very good player. It's going to be tough if we can nullify their threats down the wings. I think we'll be all right, because their striker isn't up to much. But again, we've given players that aren't really up to much their swan songs in games, so it's something that we're going to have to look out for.
Well, Aubameyang doubled his tally in 52 minutes, didn't he, against us, to be fair?
Well, I mean, Oscar, this is it. I don't know what the feeling was, but Arsenal do not play like that every single week. They just don't. They are not that progressive, but we allowed them to be progressive. We didn't impose our game on that team at all.
They're like the old Arsenal, in terms of like under Wenger, kind of like your peak Arsenal. You see both wingers flying forward, the fullbacks flying forward, the whole team in our half of the pitch pressing. And like you said, when you pass the ball back, when you try and play out the back, you're just inviting more pressure. You're allowing Meslier to get pressed by the centre forward, then all the space is close, and you just it was frustrating.
Do you think as well there was a reluctance to give it to Strauch in certain areas?
Yeah. You could say that, couldn't you? I mean, you look at, like obviously as I said, the big thing for me, the difference for me between Phillips and Strauch is that when we try and play out the back, you pass the ball to Phillips, and without even thinking, he just gets the ball on his back foot, turns, and he's looking forward to them or away then. And I just don't think Strauch, it comes as naturally to him. But I mean, Gaz, for me, I've got to admit, I did kind of touch on it a little bit before the Arsenal game, but I thought the stuff with Pepe before the game, I know Pepe didn't go on the pitch, but I just thought that was a bit daft, really, to just try and like. I think, don't get me wrong, you've seen a lot of top players try and start like a bit of verbals, but I'm thinking, you're John Alioski, you're probably not in a position to start trying to like potentially like, Andy Robertson had left that kind of thing and trying to call in out other wingers and that lot. I just thought that was a bit. I don't know, what do you think of that? I just thought that was a bit unnecessary. It almost wound up Arsenal a little bit. I think Xhaka just went at him that little bit more for me in that first half. I
think ultimately it came out of a bit of a throwaway comment from Pat Bamford on the official podcast, didn't it? So I think that's the sort of start of a 10 there. That's where it came from. Do you know what? There's a lot of this on in the game that we probably are not that privy to, because players are quite clever in how they do it, as in winding people up. I know a lad who played at a very good level, and his striker were a big lump, sort of an Andy Carroll type, and he used to carry a piece of chalk in his socks, and in the tunnel just before they were going out, he used to chalk his elbows while looking at the centre halves. So you know what, these type of things went off. We saw it in the documentary with Leeds Davis and one of the Derby players coming down the tunnel. Do you know what? It goes off more than we probably realise in terms of a little bit of winding people up and trying to get people sent off, trying to get in an headspace that annoys people, all that type of stuff. So, yeah, it just looks bad, because obviously we got absolutely arseholed, and Alioski was, arguably one of the reasons why we got arseholed amongst a few of us. So, yeah, I don't really buy too much into it, Oscar. It just looks a bit shit. when it gets pedalled out. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, to be honest, we're talking shit. We were a big guilty. We knocked a lovely little UFC graphic out of Pepe versus Alioski. So we jumped on the bandwagon as well. So yeah, we're just as bad.
I do find it fun.
Go on, Oscar, mate. Sorry.
Arsenal fan TV and that lot was trying to claim some kind of victory, and Pepe didn't even get on the pitch, did he?
Do you know what though? I would have done the same though, bro.
To be fair, we've had a bit of a...
But if anything, I mean, it must. Let's be honest. If you're Alioski, you've just been subbed. You're 4-0 down. You're walking around and you've got to walk past Pepe. In his head, he's probably thinking, "Oh, for fuck's sake, why did I say?" I know I'd be doing the same. And if I'm a Leeds fan watching it as well, I'm going, you know what I mean? So I don't understand, because they took a bit of flack, obviously, naturally. But I think Leeds fans would have done the same. Oscar, me and you were watching that game, I'd have gone, "Way, Pepe, way." So that's just me.
Absolutely not, mate. No chance. Never catch me. You never saw me have a go at Tyrone Mings in that Villa game. You never saw me start on Tyrone Mings.
Lads, I've done it in Sunday League. I played against Clyde Vinard, ex-Leeds striker. And I tried it with him. He came walking over and he was quite overweight. And I was like, well, that's one thing I don't have to worry about. You're not going to spin him behind. He scored 6 goals and I think they kicked near him. And at the end of the game, I just tapped him at the back and went, I don't know what to say about that. Fair play. Sometimes you just got to admit that you fucked up.
Oh, and guys, just on that super chat there about Meslier kicking it forward, I think he would, but I don't think that's the instruction. I don't think it's. I think we'd be hearing Bielsa shout some kind of words at Meslier if we just keep on kicking it forward. So it's all about the defense in front, just not passing it back so much. You can pass it back sometimes, but. God, did no one keep account? I didn't keep account, but I just losing count of how many times that ball was going back to him, and it was like for no reason as well. It could have been helped if Struijk isn't available. Give it to Harrison, give it to Rafinha. Find another outlet. So hopefully they'll do better in the game tomorrow.
I think we've said, haven't we, Oscar? It does get very frustrating sometimes when it goes back to Meslier. And his only option is to chip it out to a Luke Ayling or Shackleton or Dallas or whoever's on the right or Alioski, and it's not been landing a lot. His distribution seems to have gone back over. Because I always remember that first Arsenal game, and it was like, wow. But what comes with that is teams now know that that's where he's going. It was an unknown entity in that FA Cup game against Arsenal. No, he'd never played. I hadn't seen him before. Do you know what I mean? So we can't expect others to see him. So now that it's become a regular thing, I think teams are wise to it. If your press is in the wings, we'll struggle. So Arsenal did it, Tottenham did it, Man United did it in the pressing from the front, and it gives him not many options. I think there was I forget which game it was where he's tried to play. It might have been Tottenham where he tried to play into Calvin in midfield, and he got pressed and lost the ball. So yeah, something needs to be done about it, and if it means hitting it long. Maybe, but like Cage said, for a fact Bielsa will just go off it if that was to happen.
Well, it reminds me, to be fair.
Oh, sorry, just quickly as well. It's also the thing as well, when you're playing it out and he shipped it, we don't have the biggest players to begin with anyway. We haven't got the tallest squad. Yeah. So a lot of the time, the ball's going over their heads and out of play for a throw. So it's just something that he's going to have to work on, his distribution, because it's a big part of his game. He's going to have to work on that.
No, 100%. I mean, the thing is, you've seen Alisson, who for me is probably one of the top 2 or 3 goalkeepers in the league, to be fair. Some might even say in the world. He's made 2 big mistakes against City. And I think, unless you're Edison, I think it's just part and parcel. If you play out the back, you're going to have the odd game where you make a mistake and it costs you a goal. Because if you do make a mistake when you play out the back, it is going to be a goal. At this level, it's going to be a goal. It's going to be a penalty. It's going to be a free kick. You can have a direct shot on goal. It's just part and parcel of it. But I remember quite early on in Bielsa's reign, when we were going to Blackburn away and being in the Blackburn end, actually, just getting a last-minute ticket. And I was actually right next to Bielsa's bucket in that lot. And I just remember, I think it's Stuart Dallas's first game in the team at fullback. I think it's his first start. I might be wrong on that. But I remember every single time we try and play out at the back, Stewie Dallas for the first sort of 15, 20 minutes was hitting it long kind of thing. And he's just so, like, I mean, you just see Bielsa was just absolutely, just specifically at Dallas, going, Dallas, like that for like literally the first 15, 20 minutes because he was just smashing along. I think he even got switched over to right back in the second half. So, you know, that's it. If you don't, even if you do it once or twice, I think you're going to get a bit of a bollocking off Bielsa if you don't stick to what we've done. I mean, the thing is, it's just that we're going to make mistakes with it because we're a mid-table Premier League team. We've not got these fantastic technicians yet. That's the thing. When we do get, say, Robin Koch in the team, Robin Koch for me makes no mistakes on the ball because he's a German international, makes very few mistakes on the ball. Calvin, again, if Calvin had been there, I don't think the same situation would have happened. Llorente could potentially say the same thing. And then you look at the other signings as well, potentially another left back. All of a sudden, when we're trying to play out the back, we've got a lot more technicians there within the back four. I think Luke Ayling, look at the stats. What was it? Second for most progressive carries?
He's top, mate. He's top.
There you go. So we've already got some of it there anyway. So, you know, it's just about getting that little bit of extra quality in that kind of part of the pitch, I guess. Because I think at the other end, Rafinha, I mean, and let's talk a little bit about Rafinha because obviously we spoke to the Wolves lads and they said that Jordan felt that Wolves would go with a slightly similar tactic to what they did in the home game against us, try and frustrate us first half, wait for us to tire out a little bit and hit us with a sucker punch for a 1-0 win. That's what he was thinking. But for me, Rafinha on the pitch instead of Costa, I mean, I can't disagree with that. That's just facts at this point. Why are Liverpool after him? Why are Liverpool after him if he's not better than Salah? That's all I'm saying. Slightly off topic.
Swap deal.
Swap deal. I wouldn't want it. Don't want a swap deal. Rafinha's 5 years younger. But I just think it'll be a lot more difficult for Wolves to do that, Gaz, with Rafinha on the pitch than what we had on the pitch for that first game where we had Costa starting on the right side instead. I don't think they can do that. I think they've got to play more on the front foot and it might suit us a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the standout performer in pretty much the last few games we've had. So I don't like talking about him too much because the vultures begin to circle or the press would lead you to believe that that's the case. He gives us something different, doesn't he? Because and going back to the points earlier about them in the wide position, you know, Rafinha and Jack Harrison are mega important tomorrow night in terms of helping out the fullbacks. And you know, you've probably got a bit more work ethic and strength in Rafinha that you haven't got in Costa. Costa gets brushed off the ball far too easily. Rafinha appears to be angry the entire time he's on the pitch, which is what I really like about him. So yeah, he gives us something different. And yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't really like waxing lyrical too much about him because, you know, I'm 36 years old and I'm really close to getting Rafinha on the back of a football shirt. I think that's a bit of testament to how much he's come in and done great things. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd much rather have him in the team than out of it, put it that way, and certainly ahead of Costa as it stands.
Expensive on the lettering as well, Rafinha. Big name that for the lettering on the back. So you got to keep him, otherwise it's complete waste.
One-off now. It's only a one-off price, man.
It's $12.50.
Yeah, that shows how long it is since they had a name on the back of a shirt. I think
I was going to say, guys, just get it on Judd's, man. That's all I do. My Harry's gets one on his birthday. His first, he had Phillips on. Second, he had Click on. Third, if he's still here, he's getting Rafinha. Because it's just my favourite player until he's old enough to be able to check.
Problem I've got now, though, Joe, is that many moons ago, he had 23 Cook and then left. And also, with him playing himself, he insists on having number 5 and his own name on the back of the shirt, you know, and I can't crush the boy's dreams. But I might blame him to having Rafinha on summer.
Yeah, got to make it happen. Do you know what worries me against Wolves if they do go with this back three? I know Bolly's out, so I'm not sure what it means in terms, but for me, it felt in that first game, we could have gone for about 2 games and not scored a goal. And obviously, Wolves got a little bit lucky. I think 0-0 was probably fair on the night. Obviously, I think Strauch slipped prior to Jimenez cutting inside, and then when Jimenez shot, obviously, Calvin headed it, and it went the opposite way to Meslier, and they win 1-0. But I think I'm hoping Wolves being at home changes that slightly. I think the Wolves lads said he'll expect them still to go with like a back 5, 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs, but they'll play higher up the pitch than they did at Ellen Road. Because in that first half at Ellen Road, it was just like attack versus defence, it felt. Because they were saying they were quite surprised how Nuno had taken the game. And you could arguably say it was the perfect foil, really, because it was a smash and grab kind of vibe. But that's my only worry, is that we struggle, I think, to break down a back three when you've just got Paddy, you know what I mean? And also from a pressing standpoint as well. There's always a spare man, and Paddy felt like that a bit against Arsenal when Xhaka kept dropping in. He was just chasing, like Louise. He'd get there and then it'd go to Gabriel, and he never looked like he was getting anywhere from a pressing perspective. And that would be my worry. It's not so much going the other way, although of course it's the threat of Traore, Neto against our fullbacks who aren't fullbacks, you know. But I think it's also going forward, just being able to break down that back line. It was rock hard, I felt, in that first game. We could have genuinely gone for about 2 games and not scored, I thought.
I think another big thing, though, is Jimenez being out. I think Wolves, they've never really, for me, under Nuno, I think the lads touched on it yesterday, they've never really been this fancy team. They are happy to just knock it long into Jimenez, and they know he's going to just massive target man. He's going to just keep all of everything. Really good battle, to be fair, between him and Koch in that first game. But I think that massively hinders them in every single sense, because they haven't got that. Fabio Silva, obviously, he was the wonder kid at this time for 35 mil. Look, obviously he's probably going to have a little bit more skill. There's obviously promise there, but he's not going to be able. They're not just going to be able to knock the ball long into him, because Cooper and Strauch or whoever it is at centre back will just be all over that all day long, and the ball will just keep coming back for us. So I think they have got to change a little bit for me, just for the fact Jimenez is out of the team against us. Otherwise, I think we'll just have it'll be another game where we have 70% of the ball and dominate, really. But I think the other thing to look at is obviously Wolves in terms of left back. It's kind of been, they've had Johnny Otto, it looks like it's going to come into the team on this game. Jordan was very, very complimentary about him, but he's kind of been in and out of the team all season, had a couple of injuries. I'm fancying that all day, to be on the game. He's getting Rafinha at Otto, and on the other side, Harrison at Semedo.
Jordan said that he was the most underrated defender in the Premier League, didn't he? Oscar.
Well, I think he's. To be fair, I remember that. Right? Yeah.
And I was a bit like, I'm not sure about that. We'll see what Rafinha does when he comes up against him. Then, to be fair.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. But we talk about the wingers against their wingers against our fullbacks, KG. But I think the other way around, just the same. I think it can cause them a bit of damage in that kind of sense.
Yeah. Well, just on that point, I do have Rafinha on the back of my maroon shirt, so let's go with that. But yeah, if we can get on the ball, we need to get Harrison involved more as well. I know people question his crossing and everything, but when Harrison gets a bit of space, especially in the box, he's always good for a shot, and he's done well this season. 6 goals. Up until we gave Aubameyang the freedom of the Emirates, he was on more goals than Aubameyang. He's done really well. We need to get our players involved. If we impose our game on this Wolves team, then we can win tomorrow. I'm confident about that. I'm very confident about it. But we can't be pedestrian, because then if we give people like Ruben Neves the ball, João Moutinho a chance to shoot, it might be a long night. And unfortunately, just like with a lot of other teams, Wolves don't really score that many goals, but we are sometimes a gift, and we can, get them on a roll. But I do think that we'll be all right. I don't think Fabio Silva will start, by the way. I think it will be Willian Jose. I think he'll probably get the start, and he's a lot more physical than Fabio Silva. So we'll have to look out for that. We'll see who's got him. Hopefully Strauch's got him and just marshals him out the game. But this tomorrow, it's a game that we should be looking at winning. This Wolves have looked a different team. I've seen them all season. They've looked different since Jimenez was out. He's a big part of the way they play. And hopefully Bamford could get involved in the game more. It wasn't his fault against Arsenal, in all fairness. The ball just wasn't getting to him. Hopefully he can get involved and stick away some of the chances he'll get.
Well, the mad thing is that Bamford is only 5 off now Jimenez's best goal-scoring season in the Premier League. So that kind of sums up how well. Look, 14 games to go. He's got to get 5 goals to equal Jimenez's best season. That just shows how unreal he has been for us, to be fair, Bamford, how much he has stepped up this season. But, I mean, Cage is just touching it there, to be fair, Gaz. I mean, obviously in midfield, without KP, Neves and Moutinho, potential mismatch there, do you think, in terms of how our midfield's done at the minute, in terms of obviously against Arsenal, first sort of half, bit open. I mean, do you fear that a little bit going into this?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we can mention loads of times our midfield looks a bit porous. You know, we the Man United game with McTominay, slightly different, as Ben pointed out to me last night's show. It was kind of not tracking runners that allowed him to get his space. But you know, how many times have we seen centre halves pick the ball up and stride through our midfield this year? Quite a few times, to be honest. And I think tomorrow's important that Click and Dallas get around Neves and Moutinho. I mean, Moutinho has been one hell of a player, but let's be honest, he's not the most mobile for his age. He's just a wide operator in terms of, he knows the right pass to make. He's a little bit like their sort of Pablo, if you like, but at a slightly higher level. And you'd kind of hope that Click and Dallas would have the legs to get in and around these players. I mean, I think Neves is outstanding. When I saw him at Ellen Road in the Championship, had no right to be playing in the Championship, to be fair. He was by far away the best player. But do you know what? We're talking a lot about Neves and Moutinho and their wingers, and I think tomorrow's as much about what we can do with the ball, because if we can be forward facing and play the game the way we know we can play, with a bit of zip and a bit of sharpness in this game, then we don't really have to worry about them. And to be honest, it takes a lot of pressure off your players like Alioski and your players off Strike, and that's why Strike continued in the second half of Arsenal. But I think KG mentioned it at the beginning. We kind of came out with a bit more purpose in second half. We weren't all at sea. We weren't all over the place. We weren't pedestrian. We were getting at it a lot more. And suddenly the pressure on Strike and the pressure on players playing out of position Inter's prominent. So you know what? They've got some incredibly world-class players. If we go out tomorrow and play the way that we can play, front foot, progressive, confident on the ball, then there's no reason at all why, I echo what KG said, there's no reason at all why we can't go and get a result against Wolves. I know they've had a bit of a turgid time, but I think they've took 7 points from the last 3 league games or something like that. Only losing to Southampton, I think, in the last 5 in the Cup. I think I might be wrong. I might be right in that. But you know what? Where we are on merit, and they're behind us, and that shows that despite being absolutely smashed with injuries at the moment, we've got enough in this side to give Wolves a game. We did at Ellen Road. And there'll be a bit more pressure on them to come and play against us, like Joe said at Molineux. So yeah, I'm confident if we play our game and we get around these players that they've got, we can get some joy out of them too.
Yeah. I think Molineux's a much easier place to play, I'd imagine, empty. Much easier. Big advantage for the away team. I mean, you can get a bit of an atmosphere going, to be fair, at Molineux. So that's obviously, I don't think there's a better opportunity for us to go to Wolves and win than tomorrow night. I don't think you'll ever see Wolves this depleted in terms of injuries. Okay, we are a little bit, but not quite as bad as what Wolves are. Empty grounds. I honestly think if we do get the first goal, and if we do get it's a big if, of course, but you could potentially see a little bit of a game similar to the Villa game, possibly, in terms of if we get that early goal, get that first goal, and all of a sudden they have to chase it a bit more, the game could open up quite dramatically. And I think, for me, you look at Rafinha getting in between Cody and Johnny in terms of pace, purely on pace, I just think it could cause some problems. But equally, if they score first, as Joe said, it could just turn into like a 1-0 Wolves. Like the master. To be fair, before this season, when you went 1 down to Wolves, that was it. You were never getting back into it because they're so good at managing games. But now, nowhere near as good at doing that, to be fair. And to be fair, Michael, you are spot on. I was positive for the Arsenal game. But we're positive for every game, and sometimes it happens. Do you know what I think we might see tomorrow? What I think is quite important with them playing 3 at back is that we managed to retain possession long enough to get our fullbacks high up on sort of their fullbacks, if you like. With Rafinha and Harrison coming into Bamford out and kind of leveling them up with a 3-on-3, as in Bamford as a central, them 2 coming in wide. But to do that, we've got to have possession of ball, and to do that, we can't start like we did at the Emirates. So I think that's key for me, and I think we'll see Rafinha popping up a bit more central at times tomorrow than we did do before. I think he'll look for them little pockets of space in and around that area. No, 100%. It's all about a better start. You saw against Everton, 1 down after 10 minutes. We're like that though, aren't we? Some weeks we're absolutely brilliant from the starting blocks, and then other weeks not quite there. But if we start fast tomorrow, I honestly think we're possibly even favourites going into this. But let's look at obviously let's go into some predictions. I'll start with you, KG, because you're always very positive at this point. To be fair, always positive. Let's hear it then, mate. What are you going for?
3-0 Leeds.
Go on, Cage. Lock it in. That's some result, that.
That's good.
Know that if that happens, I am playing the Champions League tune again. It's happening. 3-0 at Molineux. That'd be abuse.
I'll sing it, mate. We'll do a duet tomorrow on the just sing it.
I'll just give a bit of context to it. It's because we bounce back. This is what we do. After I mean, I know Oscar said there we start slow sometimes, but that Arsenal first half especially, was the poorest probably since that Man United debacle. We don't usually play this poor. You know, it's never usually that slow. I think that they'll be ready to get out of the blocks, ready to put that game to the back of everyone's head and start anew. This is just what we've been doing this season as well. It will just follow the pattern.
Cage, you watch your lineup as well, bro? Because I think it's going to be up for contention. Maybe he does change it. What's your lineup, mate?
I agree with you. I think Bielsa's not going to. I think he's going to do exactly what he did before and just hope it works, better. I would go Meslier, Dallas, Stroik, Cooper, Ayling, Click, Shackleton. I'm losing track of the numbers here. Harrison, Rafinha, Bamford. Am I missing a player?
Yeah.
Am I missing a player? Why not start? Why not start Tyler Robinson? Yeah.
I don't think because the only reason I ask is because I've seen on Twitter, Berens said he would swap Pablo for Alioski and move Dallas into left back, and so Dallas has got Traore because he did okay in the second half, and then play Pablo in midfield, which is one, and then I guess others are saying let's get Llorente straight back in, put him in DM, try Shackleton in DM. I don't know. I just wondered, are we all of the thinking that he is just going to go the same?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think Llorente, I think, will probably come on for maybe the last 15 minutes if the game's all right. If we haven't used all our subs by then, just to give him some more game time.
I think the interesting bit will be the 23s playing Norwich as well tomorrow. So a little look at what the lineup is for the 23s might lean towards what the squad will be for tomorrow night.
True.
No, 100%. I mean, personally, in terms of what Berens said there, in terms of switching Dallas to left back, I'd have no problem with that. But I'd probably go Roberts over Pablo, to be honest, on current form. I think in terms of starting that game, if Wolves do sit on
Pablo's not even getting fucking games.
That's it. I don't think you can put Pablo in just yet. I know he's got to play. He's got to play. You can't just put him in the team. It's so yeah. I'd have to go Tyler if we're going down that route in terms of moving Dallas back to left back. I'd go Tyler, to be honest. But ideally, you'd go Rodrigo if Rodrigo was there. But and maybe that might play a part in his thinking. You might be banking on Rodrigo.
And just on that, Wolves aren't the most mobile in the back. So a game for Tyler Roberts would probably suit him in this kind of game too. He'll have space to move around.
You get someone like Neves on the booking early doors, because Neves, great player, but a bit of a hothead, to be fair. You get him on the booking early doors, he does tend to dive in a bit, be nice and aggressive, but he does tend to miss time the odd thing and get himself in a bit of trouble. So get him or Moutinho on an early booking, and then all of a sudden they either can't go near Tyler, or we can get him on the second yellow, and that's the thing. I mean, that was maybe a disappointment with Arsenal. Granit Xhaka, it's a walking yellow card, and we never even put him in a situation where he'd have to dive in. You know he will dive in. You know he was good. He's a good player. He's a good player, but you can easily get him on the yellow card.
Yeah, he's not a good player. But this was
good in that game, though. Whether or not we allowed to let
this is like the Kante stuff all over again. He's not having it.
I don't think Xhaka's a good player. We allowed him to look good, but he did have a good game.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean. The two midfielders that they had don't play like that. Xhaka and Ceballos are so ordinary. It's unbelievable. They're so average. But that's what we do sometimes, man. And it's so frustrating to see. But we allow teams to do that sometimes, make their average players look worldy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on about paying 25 million for Ceballos in the summer. I can't believe it.
And
then stop to get on Arsenal, but you know, they say, and then they're signing Louise on an extended deal. They give Holding a new deal. Now they're going to pay 25 million for Ceballos. It's like, do you not see what everyone else sees? Like, Xhaka told his own fans to back off. You know what I mean? It's like, get him, I don't know. But I just want to pick up on this as well, what Jason Lee said about Leif Davis. That's an interesting one as well. The fact that he'd gone with Huggins ahead of Davis. I think Davis was given that chance against Crawley and binned off. I thought, you know, we would have seen more of him, to be fair. And it's quite interesting that he hasn't used him. I totally forgot about him, to be honest. So it is a bit mad that he has used Huggins. I know, Oscar, you'll be fuming because your best mates will leave. So.
Huggins did well. I can't look.
Yeah.
You've got this thing about me being biased and that lot in terms of Barry Douglas and that lot. I never asked for Barry Douglas to come into the team. I'm going to go on to Barry Douglas because you always had to go at me for that. I always said Shuey Dallas, left back, in that team every single week. I never said, well, same with Davis. Yeah, look, I think Leaf is probably, he's got the capability. I think he's got to go on loan now for me to a championship club or, you know, and just get regular game time. A little bit like, you know, we were talking about probably Tyler, but I think Leaf is even, 2021 now, I think. He's got to go out on loan. He's not going to just get into that team unless there's a massive injury crisis. You know, I think the fact Alioski's playing ahead of him, I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong, but if someone who's a winger is playing ahead of you, it's a bad sign. But I think he's just got to go out on loan for me.
I think Leaf, much like Gotts, Edmondson, McCalmon, they'll be moved on. I don't see Leaf being here long term, if I'm being honest, mate. I don't see him being here. I don't. I think there's a lot that are getting close to the squad that won't be on that subs bench come next season when we flesh it out. Your sub bench will include people like Alioski, maybe even Stewie D, players like that, maybe even Cooper. I don't think you'll see the likes of Leaf, etc. on the bench next season, to be honest. I think they'll be moved on. Roberts could even be. I know he's still really young, but I just think of the level of players we're going to be looking at bringing in. Them players that are currently in that starting 11 will be on the bench. And to be honest, the ones that are playing now, like your Dallas's, like your Alioski, have a lot more variety in terms of positions where they can play as well. So they make better squad players anyway for me on the whole.
Joe, just on a quick point there. Dallas all day long. I'd keep him for the foreseeable future. I love Shutt Dallas. His versatility is invaluable. But you said Alioski on the bench. Do you think he'll be here next season?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Do you think they'll move him on? Do you think they'll sell him?
He's out of contract, isn't he, Gaz?
Yeah, he's out of contract.
I thought we were giving him another year, though, no?
He hasn't signed anything now, has he?
So he's not signed anything, as in...
Well, the rumours...
Because I know they were linked to that horrible club, weren't they? I know they were linked to them.
The thing is, the Alioski one's a really interesting one. I could run on a real tangent here, but like he's 29. Looking at from his point of view, he's going to want to be playing games. He's looking at probably his last big contract. And I think Phil Hayes made no secret the league's going to target a left back, the lad Parode from Brest, one name mentioned. Like, are you going to be able to sell Alioski a bit part player next year? Is he going to be someone who's going to come in and rival Jack Harrison when we sign him permanently? Jan Poveda looks to be sort of in that wide area as well. So the thing is with Alioski, we've got to look at it like that. I mean, is he prepared from his point of view to sit on the bench next year and play a bit part when he's 29? And, he's got a chance to maybe go to another club and get that last big contract that they all chase when they get to that age, that's going to set him up for life, whatever, when he's going to play, long-term games. But also, from a fan point of view, I think we can do much better than Jan Alioski, to be honest. I'm not taking away from what he's done for the club. I'm not taking away for his work rate, his effort, all that type of stuff. But I think KG says at the very top of the show, some of his decision making and his mentality at times, from a footballing point of view, leaves a lot to be desired for me. I mean, You guys have listened to Talking Shutt for a hell of a long time. We jokingly call him Gianni offside as a winger when he first started because he literally couldn't stay onside. And as a wide person, getting caught offside is akin to sacrilege. I mean, you're looking across the line. You should never be offside really from a wide area. So, again, this just might be another one like a little bit like Pablo, where we're going to have to go. You know what? You're coming to the end of your contract. Here's an opportunity for you to go and earn, your last big contract will play some football in Europe, Italy, somewhere, I don't know, somewhere other than that club that we were linked with, and improving that position. It goes with our best wishes, all that type of stuff. But that's just my opinion, and I know that I caused one hell of a storm at the weekend for daring to suggest that we might want to improve on Gianni in the left back position. That said, if Bielsa wants him to sign a year's contract and he wants to keep him, he knows far more than I know. But you've got to look at it from a player point of view as well. Is he going to want to sign a contract to play for a team he ain't gonna play for? He's just going to sit on the bench essentially.
I think.
Sorry, can I just piggyback off Gaz there, just very quickly? He mentioned there about causing a storm, and it's just interesting when you're arguing with other fans. If you do that, I don't do that anymore. My mentions are watertight. Unless I follow you, I don't see you. But when they say that they want to keep Alioski, but then they'll say I want to keep Rafinha, but then say we shouldn't go into Europe because it's too soon, but then still expect to keep Rafinha. You can't have it every single way. I tell you what, we'll find somebody else to shake the tunnel if it means that much to you. But on the pitch, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll come down and shake the tunnel if it makes you feel better. I'll do something to the camera. Listen, it's about on the pitch, man. I swear. I'm starting to feel like I'm Vince McMahon. You have to be better though. Like tomorrow, he could have a good game tomorrow against Traore. He could do. But what I'm thinking in my head is he's going to commit some cynical fouls and get himself into yellow card, red card trouble because of the amount of times that Traore is going to breeze past him. That's just my initial feeling. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Prove me wrong, please. But I just don't get that some people believe that this guy, if you're drafting a team and you can pick from all the left backs, where are you picking him? He'd be very, very low on the list of what's available in the Premier League. Yeah. And I'm even talking about like Anthony Robertson at Fulham. I would much prefer to have him. You know what I mean? There's other options available that will be specialists and that will be just so much better going forward.
Let me caveat. I didn't think he'll be here as in starting. That's not a given, but I think, like Gaz touched on, obviously Bielsa was mentioned about this year extension. And I remember the Fulham game when he brought him on as sub and employed him in a different role. He was sort of like playing left wing, but he was doing a lot of pressing, and he actually did well when he came on. We had gone to 4-3 at that point after being 4-1 up and coasting, and he did a good job. So I just see again, his versatility down the left-hand side has maybe been an option for Bielsa, because in terms of the summer recruitment, what's max we're going to get? 4, 5? I don't think there'll be a massive overhauling, and Bielsa doesn't want a huge squad anyway. So, I mean, you're looking at what? Left back, midfielder, possible cover for Calvin. 3, do you bring in someone to cover Bamford? But again, this is when people say we need a top striker cover for Bamford, etc. It's like, you see it with Tottenham. Like, I know he's not on Harry Kane level, but how many decent strikers want to come and see Bamford and go, well, it's fucking pointless because he ain't going to get any game. You know, it has to come from below, like a Roberts or someone that's in the infancy. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how the summer goes, but I think left back's number one on the cards. I mean, get a proper, specialist left back, like you say. But I do think me personally, I might get shot down for this, but I'd rather see him on the bench than some of the lads that we've got on the bench at the minute. Would you agree with that, or would you just say, nah, he's just too much of a wild card kind of vibe?
Well, if this is to me, sometimes you have to, you have to subtract addition by subtraction. You just get that out of there, because I don't know how for other people feel, but when he's playing, I just feel like there's a mistake coming. And he's done it a few times where he sometimes trips over the ball when he's passing it back. And it's just simple things like that. And it's like, what is this guy doing? And it's all well and good in the Championship when you're playing, you know, Cardiff and all these guys, but we're not playing these teams anymore. We have to move on. And for me, I would rather have a youngster there making those mistakes and learning as he's getting on than a 29-year-old man that isn't really a left back anyway, doing it there.
Yeah.
No, totally. It's. I mean, you are. I mean, you do yourself a disservice when you say you're Vince McMahon, mate, because you have got to be ruthless. You get to this level, you got to be ruthless. Wolves got rid of Barry Douglas. Wolves got rid of Costa. Wolves got rid of Cavallero. All the players that got him up there. You just got to do it. You just got to...
Well, this is what I mean. Props to Wolves. I'm telling you, props to Wolves, because we were speaking to them fans yesterday. You can't tell me a lot of them Wolves fans, when they got rid of Cavallero, Costa, and Barry Douglas, they were probably thinking, whoa, like, maybe not so much Costa, but definitely Barry Douglas and that. And then, great business from them, because each three of them players that I've just mentioned are all pants. I'm sorry to say. Like, Barry Douglas, okay, he's not pants, he just didn't fit for us, and he's now playing at Blackburn. Costa's terrible, and Cavallero's at Fulham, and I don't think he's getting a lot of game time there, to be honest. He's in and out, isn't he? I don't watch a lot of Fulham, to be honest.
Yeah, he's in and out of the team there.
Like Knockout, etc. But yeah, I mean, props to Wolves. They do really well, don't they, in the transfer market, to be fair.
Yeah. All of the good clubs do that, though, Joe.
Yeah.
It's, you know, Everton, they spent 27 million on Moise Kean, and it hasn't worked out for him. He's gone to PSG now, and he's found a fit. But they didn't try and keep pursuing it. They didn't try persisting with it. They could see it wasn't working, and have moved him on now. Villa have done the same as well. They plugged in positions what they needed. You know, they tried a few strikers, didn't work. They got Ollie Watkins. They've moved out a couple of strikers. You always have to do that if you want to keep progressing.
Yeah, no, fair.
Yeah, 100%. You got to make difficult decisions from time to time, to be fair, and that's just part and parcel of it, really. But let's finish off anyway, guys. Let's finish off. So KG 3-0, bang. Love that, to be fair.
Yeah.
Alioski on the score sheet.
Might do.
Mate, do you know who you need to have a chat with? You know who needs to have a chat with, Oscar? Our man Louis Vivar.
Yeah.
Louis Vivar.
A new series.
He hates. And I mean hates Alioski. Like every
I think I've
street.
seen him before.
Yeah, he just comes on and goes, "Get him out of our club. Get him out of our." I mean, to be fair, I had to check him one point because he said, "Get Bielsa out," because he's working them too hard. So I had to question whether or not he was a Leeds fan at all. But yeah, you need to have a chat, Louis Vivar. If you can get in these mentions, you know, hook up with KG and you can have a little chat about Alioski, man.
He's a legend of a man, is Louis Vivar, to be fair. But Gaz, what are you saying tomorrow night? Wolves versus Leeds, predictions.
I'm frantically trying to remember what I said on Talking Shut last night, to be honest, but I think I went 2-1. So yeah, I'm going 2-1 down there. I think it'll be a tough game, but we've got more than enough to get a result at Molineux for me, and I think we will do.
You said 2-1 as well, didn't you, Wademan?
I did, mate. Yeah, I did. And I think for me, the first goal's huge. The longer it stays at 0-0, the more I favour Wolves, if I'm being totally honest. If we're 60, 70 minutes in that second half, I don't know. By that point, we'll have had probably like 10, 15 shots at goal and not obviously hit the back of the net, and it'll be looking like one of them days for me. So, listen, if we can score early, like we did against before, who was it? Palace and stuff. You know what I mean? When we score early and we get into that rhythm, man, we're hard to stop. We are when we move the ball so quick. But I think the great thing for me is the Wolves fans were saying it yesterday. It's like this is a true barometer of where we're at now. You know, we're in there with the likes of Wolves. We've only just been in this league and we're already looking at a Wolves team, and both sets of fans are saying, you know what? We could take 3 points from this. And that shouldn't be right for a newly promoted club. It's the same on Tuesday against Southampton. It was the same against Arsenal. It'll be the same against Villa. Do you know what I mean? And this for me, gives me these next run of games, and I said it before Arsenal, obviously we'll beat there, but it gives me a real barometer of where we're at this season. You know, if we can pick up 6 points, 7 points out of the next 3, that's huge for Leeds. And then it does really look, you know, we're going to have a really good summer and we're going to go again. Do you know what I mean? Because this is where we're at right now for me. You know, we only just lost out to Everton. Yeah, we got beat by Arsenal, but Arsenal are on that upward trajectory. You know, Wolves are a team that we should be beaten and be confident about beating, you know, without disregarding them. This is where we're at now, man, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And I hope we pick up 3 points, and it'd be nice for Granny Val on that, and get back on that march towards European football. Why not? 2-1 Leeds.
Yeah, I'm going to go cheeky 2-1. I think it's a 2-1 kind of game, you know. 2-1 either way, but I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds. I think we'll score first. I think normally, we've seen these kind of games. Last time at Ellen Road, that first half, I know the Wolves fans said they felt comfortable. Rafinha on the pitch in that first half, it's 1 or 2-0 at half time for me in terms of making that difference in the game. And I'm feeling pretty confident. I think obviously Wolves can cause us problems, no doubt about that. But I think we'll have a lot of the ball. I think we'll be on the front foot, as guys were saying. And if we have loads of the ball, it less risk really. It only really puts us at risk on counter attacks, really, in that kind of sense. But
all I don't want to see, Oscar, is out to the wings, crosses into the box against a massive free centre backs. If we start doing that from an early standpoint, I'm like, nah,
it's a bad sign.
We need to play through the lines, man, and hopefully Click's fit in and ready and raring to go. So hopefully he has a good game tomorrow.
That's it. The one thing about that back three is it's got no pace. Let's be honest, it's solid. It is solid as you can ask for, kind of that kind of level, but it's not no pace really. And we saw it against Leicester. To be fair, that back four solid as you can ask for. But Johnny Evans, as soon as you get him in a foot race with Rafinha or Harrison,
well, Bamford did him for pace, man.
Paddy's got a bit of a turn of pace, quicker than we think, to be fair. So it's an interesting one in that sense. But guys, just before we sign off, we will remind you our fantastic sponsors, Football Prizes. Make sure you check them out, guys. So some brilliant stuff on offer here. Calvin Phillips signed and framed Leeds United boots. Get on this, guys. 99 tickets available, $4.95 a ticket. Competition ends on Monday. Get on it, guys. He's going to lead England to glory in the Euros. He's going to get us into the Champions League. He's going to be just a legend of English football, not just Leeds United. Get on this, guys. Get on this one. And also, we have just 24 hours left on this one. Less than 24 hours left on this one now. Tickets going fast on this one. 66 available. $4.95 a ticket. Get on this one, guys. 70s and 90s. Signed and framed, signed montage. Look at the names that signed that. Eddie Gray, Tony DeRigo, David Harvey, Johnny Giles, Mel Sterling, Rodney Wallace, Chrissy White, Gary Mack, Steve Hodge. Some absolute legends on there, and not to mention as well. No, Gianni Alioski, just to emphasise, Gianni Alioski is not on. Wayman, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You're going to get sued here. Just to emphasise, Gianni Alioski is not signed that. I know what people are like on YouTube. We'll emphasise that.
Someone will buy it and be like, "Where's Gianni Alioski?"
This is what I mean. We're just going to get angry, like just YouTube comments for the rest of eternity if that happens. But yeah, they've got some proper legends on there anyway, guys. 24 hours left on that one. Oh man, that was but guys, make sure you check out guys at Talking Short and KG Vision on YouTube as well, guys. And I guess we'll leave it there. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 o'clock on the dot, with your live lineup reaction for 15 and 20 minutes. 7:45, straight into the watch along. End of the game, 10 o'clock, roughly 10 o'clock-ish. We'll be then going into the live post-match. Then into the live player ratings later on. Make sure you join us. Keep it locked. Smash the like on this one and subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to do the outro now. Oh, I'm still getting so excited about doing this. Like a kid at Christmas doing this. We'll see you later, guys.